Be ready to work hard. Put in the extra hours that normally not many people will put it in. That's number one. Number two, be honest in everything that you're doing, regardless of whatever situation you find yourself with the challenges. But be honest.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the podcast Learniverse, a program designed to educate people on different topics and issues and have diverse range of content for listeners. I'm your host Ruhan Ahmed, joining you from the studios of MTA International. And today, we are joined by someone whose name resonates with success. He is a philanthropist, he is a motivational speaker, and one of the tycoons of real estate businesses in Africa, Brother Mustafa and Njie. Welcome to the show, and it's a pleasure to have you today.
Thank you so much, Rohan. Thank you. You're welcome.
And just starting this discussion on a lighter note, how do you feel when you're called by the name Uncle Taff?
I mean, I have a mixed feeling actually. It makes me feel old. And now, actually, what is very interesting is that I see people who are even older than me or my age mates calling me Uncle Taff. Yesterday, I was at an event and somebody walked to me and said, Uncle Taff. I said, please, don't call me Uncle Taff. You can call me Taff. Okay. But I think, it just sounds right, and because I'm connected to the youth, which is really my passion, motivating the young ones. So yes, these days, everywhere I go, people call me Uncle Taff.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So can you share your background, how you got started into this industry of real estate?
I was an employee before an employer, and I encourage all the time young ones that don't rush, that life, it's not an elevator, but a set of stairs. You take one step at a time. So if I just go backwards, at the age of 18, when I completed my high school, I was very stubborn, but very passionate about woodwork. So I had very good passes from high school, and I was employed the same year to teach as a junior teacher in the same high school I was. And that's how my technical working career started. Fast track, I was employed then again with Miserio in Lamin, and then I went to work for Balfour Beatty, an international construction firm. And I did almost everything in construction, but on the job. Mm-hmm. So then in 1990, I started my own business. But basically targeting building private houses, mainly for Gambians who were living abroad. And from there in 1998, I decided to go into mass housing, mass affordable housing. And today, that's what I'm known for. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And, you have a diverse and extended experience in this empire of real estate. So as a mentor to young people who are coming into this business and to being the next developers in real estate, what key factor do you think they should keep in mind, they should note before jumping into the empire of real estate?
Well, let me just generalize, because it's not only in real estate. I'm a businessman, I've done a lot, but yes, I am known more in real estate. But generally in life and for young people, there's a formula for success. And the formula is hard work and honesty. So these are the two, a combination that if you combine them with some little bit of luck, you will be successful. Be it real estate or anything that you want to do in life. Be ready to work hard. Put in the extra hours that normally not many people will put it in. That's number one. Number two, be honest in everything that you're doing, regardless of whatever situation you find yourself with the challenges. But be honest. So this is a formula that I would like to advise the young ones.
I think that is very important, in whatever department you are serving in, put all efforts, whatever you have, just utilize it and give your best shot, and eventually some doors will open, and that is what we call luck. Then you will have opportunities to go beyond where the person stands. So people have, now as initially I said, your name resonates with success and people look up to you as an inspiration. So who did you look at for inspiration?
Well, in life, now that I'm 67, I've gone through a lot. I've met a lot of people. First, you must start with your parents. I was lucky to have been born to my parents who raised me up with good values to make me who I am today. So that's the foundation. So from there, my teachers that taught me in school, I mean, friends that I have heard, obviously my spouse as a wife, she also plays a role. But in business, somebody that I always looked up to when I was starting my business and I read his books was Richard Branson. Good entrepreneur, starting from school, he even dropped out of college, so I followed his footsteps. And most of the time when I read his stories, it resonates with me. But then later in my life, my role model is Nelson Mandela. And you see it everywhere. That's even my mall is named after him. Madiba Mall. If you go inside the mall, you'll find a lot of his quotations, are there. Like he says that it always seems impossible until it's done. So meaning that you need to conquer challenges. So most of the things I do in life are huge challenges. I mean, for example, being a Gambian and going to Nigeria in the Niger Delta in very rough terrains and developing, what I did there. That's what was in my mind, that it always seems impossible until it's done. So today, really, when I look up to a role model, it's Nelson Mandela for a lot of reasons. Somebody who was locked up for 27 years, and he came out and shook hands to forget and forgive and lead the nation. Also, very much compassionate, very much contented with what he had. Today we see leaders, who want to amass as much wealth as possible. That was in Mandela. And then he forgave. He forgave, those who oppressed him, shook hands with them and moved on. So for any African or any human being, if you want to be successful, you should try and take some of the values that are in Nelson Mandela. I mean, again, the young ones should understand that life is more of a marathon than a 100-meter dash. In a 100-meter dash, it's a matter of the time you clock in quickly. And that is why people are trying to beat the world record all the time. These days, I think it's about 8-point-something seconds or 9-point-something seconds. You can imagine how fast they work. That's not life. Life is a marathon. You have to be strategic. What is important is to finish the race. So life can be very long. So for me, when I started my working career, I mean, I was disciplined to work. So it's part of my career, part of my life. It's part of my DNA. Quite often people do ask me, but aren't you going to retire? I tried to retire actually when I was 60, but I got bored. Because this is part of my life. I enjoy what I do. I have a passion for what I do. So I cannot retire. And these days I tell people that, look, I'm an active retiree. And I am at my own pace, but I love challenges, huge ones. And there's a saying that if your dream is not big enough to scare you, then you haven't dreamt big enough. And that's who I am. I love big things. And I'm not doing it because of the money I want to make. It is because the passion I have in me and the success that I aim for to achieve it.
And they look at the success of another person not knowing that what they have gone through to attain that. So coming to the next question, you have an experience in housing and real estate, of course, for spanning over for more than 45 years now. So is there anything like a decision that you ever made which you regretted and you don't want others to fall for it?
Yes, I've done certain things that I failed, but I learned from it. Failure is part of life, and that must be accepted. So when you fail, you learn from it. Actually, I tell people all the time that my failures are much more than my successes. But it's my few successes are more visible. For example, going into Nigeria. I tried to go into Nigeria to Mali. It didn't work. I went to Senegal so many times. It didn't work. I'm registered in Togo. I went to Rwanda. I went to Mozambique. But you will never hear any of those projects implemented because they were too much challenge that I couldn't do it. But Nigeria, with a bit of luck, when I went there, it happened. Sierra Leone, it happened. So I don't regret, but I can count a number of failures that I have, You know,
You learn from every
I learned from it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I learned from the failures and I move on. You will trip, you will fall, but when you fall, you should quickly get up. Like just in the game of football, you see footballers, they get hit to the ground, but they don't give up. They quickly get up. A good one is the goalkeepers when they kick shots on them and they deflect the ball. They get up again and try to stop the ball to go in. So for me, that's what life is about. A lot of failures, much more than my successes. But I learn from them and I move on.
But then after learning, the success you have overcomes all the failures you have
that's
gone
what people
through.
see.
Yes.
Today, they say, about Tough and Tough City, what he's doing, Tough Africa Global in Nigeria, Tough Africa. So all people see is success, because the failures are not visible.
And as you have already highlighted that now your business expanded to different parts of West Africa, the likes of Nigeria and Sierra Leone. So having a business of this magnitude, how do you win the trust of the investors, like investing into this, massive and magnitude business of real estate?
Well, I have a formula. I am known for doing public-private partnership, except in the Gambia. I have not been successful in doing public-private partnership with the government. But in Nigeria, I have succeeded once, and now I'm doing a second one. In Nigeria, we're building 20,000 houses, and it's ongoing. And then in Sierra Leone, we're building 5,000. Wow. But here in the Gambia, I am doing 5,000, but 100% private. I'm doing it by myself. So I have a formula that I send to the government. So, governments wants to address affordable housing or social housing. Every government wants to address it because it's very political. But some are not serious. So I have a standard formula that from my phone, I can send it to you. I get approached all the time. There are governments from all over Africa because I am known now to be the biggest in affordable housing in Africa. The figures are there, the facts are there, and I have been decorated with this. So they approach me all the time. And once you approach me, I will send you my conditions. You go through it. If you agree, you invite me over. So when you invite me over, then we start our negotiations. If you compile, okay, if you agree to my conditions, within a short time we can hit the ground. A good example, for example, today in Nigeria, in Port Harcourt, I was invited in mid-December. So the first thing is a condition: I must meet the head of state because I want the political will. That's important. So I don't want any intermediary. Yeah. Somebody who thinks, oh, my uncle is the head of state, or my this is the investment promotion. Yeah. Somebody always wants a cut somewhere. Yeah. So I cut all those men out. Yes. That look, this is massive investment, and I would want to have the political will. So I must meet the head of state, or if it's in Nigeria, the governor. So I'll go in there and straight into his eyes, I will tell him 1, 2, 3, 4 conditions are my conditions. And within this period, I will hit the ground. So I was in Nigeria in December. So I gave my conditions and the governor said yes to all. And before I left, within 2 days, we signed an MOU. And he asked me, when do you start? Wow. So, and I said, well, after the Christmas. He said, no, I want to break ground before Christmas. I said, it's done. It's a deal. So I was there. I sent machines there. We broke ground. We were talking about, we started effectively in January 2024 now. So which is about 9 months. We are currently building 600 houses off the ground. Well, it's 20,000 we're building. So we need to build every year 1,000. So we have the capacity to deliver this. Yes. So yes, but our partners, which is government, must meet our conditions.
So how did you come up with an idea of starting a smart city?
Well, like everything in the world. I mean, looking at your studio now, your studio wasn't like this. A typical studio, 5 years ago, would not look like this. Massive. I mean, even if you wanted to broadcast live these days, yes, you are on YouTube. You are not, and you have more followers. You have more reach than conventional TV. Yeah. So same thing with us. Like now on my phone, I can look at all my sites from my phone because it's smart. I have smart cameras everywhere. Yes. So I can move the cameras around from my phone. So it just makes sense that technology today, if anybody doesn't embrace it within your ecosystem, you are left behind. So technology is the way to go in everything that you do in life. I mean, you can have your bank accounts today in Pakistan and do all your transactions on your phone. So that's the same thing. I mean, in houses today, some of our houses, you can open your door from your phone, you can, start the appliances, and nobody should be left behind regardless of wherever you are in the world.
Yeah, thank you very much for highlighting that.
Yeah.
And world is now very competitive. And so where do you see in the next 10, 15 years concerning real estate in Africa?
Well, Africa has a demand for housing because housing is a basic human need. The population is growing. The population growth in Africa is bigger than anywhere in the rest of the world. For example, on average, in Africa, population growth is about 2.5% per annum, which is huge. So in the next 30-something years, the population of Africa will double. Prosperity is increasing. People's ways of life are better. So there's a demand. We did a survey last week. Tough Africa Global did this survey on asking about, the demand for housing here, because we feel that in Gambia it's very difficult to supply housing to the masses. So I am proposing trying to sell houses, but spreading it over 5 years. So we did some with the questionnaire, very simple questionnaire, and said, look, who are the ones who can afford $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, up to $30,000 a month, on a payment plan? People call it mortgage, but it's not a mortgage. It's a payment plan for us. And to our surprise, within 3 days, we had 650 people who responded online. And 60% said we can comfortably pay $5,000 every month, as a payment plan for 5 years. So now we are working now day and night to figure out how are we going to service this huge demand. That's how microfinance came up. Some 15, 20 years ago, people thought that category of society cannot be banked. But today, one of the biggest businesses in East Africa, for example, M-Pesa, they are huge. Same thing in the Gambia, everywhere. And the telco companies, people thought that, having a telephone was only for the rich and, those who are at the lower end of society cannot afford a telephone. But today, that's why they make their money. So in the housing ecosystem, it's the same thing. And as a affordable housing developer, as a leader in the continent, that's what we're focusing on now. We're trying to focus on those people who are not being served, that how can we serve them? And we will come out with the answer.
Oh, thank you. So any final piece of advice for the listeners out there?
Well, when I speak to the young ones. That life, again, I've said this over and over again, life is, there's no shortcut to success. What I have seen, as opposed to those of us who were at that age at the time, say in their 20s or so, we took time. First was to develop a passion. You develop your passion, and then success will come through this. So if you are good in carpentry, please take it up. If you are good in media works, take it up as a passion and develop it. Don't copy and paste. Don't think that because Rohan is making it in the media business, I should get in there. No, discover yourself. What is it that you are good at? And put in all your energy, all your efforts. Today, all of us are lucky that we can learn things online. That's my advice to the young ones and even people at my age and beyond, that we should encourage and research and development. Be there to learn. I learn every day. I just told you when I walked in that I am busy trying to get a coach, a trainer on digital marketing, because that's the world today. I mean, I don't have to physically go around my clients and talk to them. I can be in the comfort of my car and then do my marketing straight from there. And I'm sure probably you follow me on my social media handles. And it's done on purpose. Most of my staff agree with this. I am the brand ambassador of the company. And every time I speak, I have, hundreds of thousands of people who are listening to me. So that's the world at our fingertips. And on that note, Rohan, I would just thank you for this. It's an opportunity, and
Pleasures.
I hope that it is not the first time.
Yes.
I am just a phone call away.
Yeah.
Anytime I am again in the Gambia and you want to do this,
Yes.
I am more than willing to come.
No, I deeply appreciate your time and your commitment and sharing such wonderful information for the benefit of the masses. So, thank you very much for taking our time and joining us today. And, dear viewers, that's all for today. Until we come your way, till then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Today, tough is big, but tough started as a carpenter. Today, Mrs. Ndao Schools is one of the biggest private schools in the Gambia, but Mrs. Ndao started as a teacher in her small house. So as an entrepreneur, if you want to go into anything, look at where's the challenge? What solution can I come up with? How can I bundle together a product or service? Then you go into it.